Welcome to Bled Talk, where language barriers are shattered and aspirations take flight. I'm your host, Samuel Bledsoe, here to ignite your English journey. Each week, join us for captivating conversations between native speakers, unraveling the secrets of vocabulary and expressions through authentic stories and natural dialogue. Let's empower your language skills and embrace the power of communication. Let's dive into today's episode. Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Bled Talk. I feel very honored to have my grandpa here. His name is Robb Bledsoe, and he's a musician, he's a songwriter, and he has lots of songs on YouTube and still sings today, still gets on Facebook and does his lives every day. So that's always exciting to see. And we're going to talk to him a little bit about music, about how it's affected him and why he still does it, why it's so important. So Robb, if you could go ahead and tell us a little bit about kind of where it all started. How did you get into music?
My first memories of singing were, I was probably 4 or 5 years old. I was down at Grandma Bledsoe's house, my Grandma Bledsoe, and she always had me stand on this little platform and sing songs for her. Jesus Loves Me, ABC, just little songs that a 4 or 5 year old would know. And that's my earliest memory of singing. And I remember enjoying it. Of course, Grandma always make a big fuss over you, even if you don't do it well. They make a big fuss over you. So anyway, it gave me some confidence, I guess. And then in grade school, I sang in the choir a few times, the school choir. Sang in the church choir growing up for several years. In 7th grade, I started writing and composing songs. I started writing them because it impressed the little girls that were in 7th grade with me. And I could get girlfriends that way. So I could write a song and put their name in it. And then, they just fell in love with me. So that was fun back then. But and then from there, it just went. In 5th grade, I had piano lessons. And that was really, other than singing, that was the only instrument that I ever played up to that time, up until I was 18. When I was 18, I was in the Army over in Germany, sitting in the barracks, and this guy from Montana, his name was Rodney Love, was sitting there playing sitting on his cot, playing a guitar, singing a Johnny Cash song. And I thought, well, guitar looks easy. So I asked him, I said, Rodney, can you teach me to play the guitar? And he kind of looked at me dumbfounded, and he says, I can't teach you, but I can show you how. I said, okay, show me. And he taught me to play a C chord and an F chord and a G chord and sing, I don't know, some little Johnny Cash song. After I had practiced that for about a week, every day for several hours, my fingers were so sore, but I was determined to learn. Anyway, after I practiced that song for a long time, he told me, he says, okay, with those 3 chords, you can play any song you want to. I said, well, good. I want to play House of the Rising Sun. And he looked at me and he said, except for that one. He says, that's got more than 3 chords in it. So I had to learn a couple of extra chords so I could play House of the Rising Sun. Then I went down to the PX and I bought Creedence Clearwater Revival. It was a band back in the 70s. I bought one of their songbooks. I bought a Beatles songbook. I bought a Joan Baez songbook and a Bob Dylan songbook. And I started practicing those songs and learning more chords. When I came home from Germany, my best friend had also been playing guitar. We got together and started a band. And that would have been 1972. And then from there on, we just went.
You just started going. And did you ever kind of have a dream of being like a big country star or a big rock star, or was it more
Oh,
just playing
always.
for
When
fun?
I was in when I was in sixth grade, we had a double porch on the back of our house. Both of them screened in. It was 2-story porch, and our bedroom was off the up and upstairs, and the porch was out on the second. Our bedroom open with French doors out to that porch. I would go out there and play records and grab a hairbrush, and that was my microphone, and I would just sing to my heart's content with those records, pretending that I was on a big stage with thousands of people watching me.
So it's always, and what was it like? You said that you came back from Germany and you found out that your friend was playing guitar too. You guys got the band together. So you got the band together, and then what was it like playing the first concert? Do you remember the first show at all?
Well, we kind of eased into the first real show. We would get together on every weekend and play music, and sometimes there would be people there, and sometimes not. And most of the for the first 6 months, it was more of a practice than a show, but we'd get together and play music. And then another friend showed up and played drums, and after a while, another guy showed up and played bass, and so it was kind of forming that band over that 6 month period. And we had family members that were there that would listen to us. But the first picnic that we played, there was a picnic from an organization, a civic organization, and they asked us would we come and play, and we said sure, and they said, well, we can't pay you, we can feed you, and we all looked at each other and says, free food, let's go for it. And we went, and that was the first. It was at Jefferson Barracks Park in South St. Louis, under a pavilion, and we played there for about 3 hours. And a lot of people, I don't know, they said they liked us and invited us back. By the time they invited us back, we were getting paid, and they couldn't afford us. So we said, well, we'll do we'll come down and play for an hour, and then we had to leave and go play a wedding somewhere. But yeah, we played. After a time, we started booking a few clubs ourselves, and then this agent heard us. Margaret Penn Agency heard us. I don't know where she heard us, but anyway, she listened to us play, and so she asked us if we had an agent. We said no, and she asked could she be our booking agent? Which hey, that's cool, yeah. And she started booking us in some pretty good clubs and getting some pretty good money. And with her, we played all over Metro East, St. Louis area. We played out towards St. Charles. We played all up and down the Mississippi River from, I guess, from almost up in Iowa all the way down to Mississippi, the state of Mississippi. So we played a lot of weekend gigs where we'd be on the road, and all the time we were still working our full-time jobs.
Oh wow! So
So
were they like weekend gigs? So you'd go up on Friday,
yeah,
those
we'd
things.
leave early Friday, as early as we could Friday, and play Friday. Sometimes we'd play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sometimes it'd just be a Saturday gig, but yeah, it was all over. We played one in Meridian, Mississippi, and met a lot of really neat people down there. Um, that was a lot of fun. It was the Jimmie Rodgers Festival. Jimmie Rodgers is a kind of considered the father of country music, and he was from Meridian, Mississippi. He recorded back in the 1920s and 1930s, and so we went down there, and the only requirement to play there was that we play one of his songs. Well, he had a lot of great songs that a lot of rock and roll people have covered, and he died in the 1930s. but there's a lot of rock and roll people. He's kind of like Robert Johnson in the blues. A lot of modern musicians have played Robert Johnson music, and he died back in the 1930s.
Right.
So,
And was your band style, was it more towards country, or was it more into rock?
it was kind of country rock, southern rock.
Mhm.
We did do on our sets. We would the first set we would play usually would be standard top 40 country, whatever was on the radio. The second set was usually the older country, but we put a little kick in it, a little rock in it, you know. The third set was usually early rock and roll, 1950, 1960s rock and roll. And then our last set, and sometimes our fifth, sometimes we play 5 sets, but the last set was always requests, songs that we liked, just, whatever. And it covered everything from the Eagles to I don't know. It covered almost all the Southern rock bands, Charlie Daniels Band. Let me think who else. 38 Special was a group back then that did a lot of music. But yeah, we did a lot of covers. We did a few of our own songs, not too many,
Yeah.
just a few.
Yeah.
I didn't start performing my own music until the late 1990s. Then I was kind of doing a solo act in coffee shops and whatnot, and I would play my own music there.
Yeah. And so you would say that probably after, well, let's see, you said 1970s, right, is when the band got together, and then like early 1990s, kind of when you started to go. And I think you still played in a band in the 90s as well, right? But you also
I did, and in fact, I played in several bands. The first band I was in was we call it the Ames Gang because we were from Ames, Illinois, and so we call it the Ames Gang. Well, there was also a rock and roll group out at that time called the James Gang, and so we changed our name because it was too closely related to them. We changed it to Southern Reflections, and we played the Southern Reflections played for about 12 or 14 years together. After that, I got in with a group called Maggie's Misfits. It was a group that Maggie Penn had put together. She was the booking agent. She had put together, and she'd asked me to be a part of that. Also, we played in a contra band, a contra dance band. Contra dance is the early square dance, like from the 1700s.
oh,
I played in that band. That was a weekend gig. For about a year, I guess. I played in a couple of blues bands. I played in a early rock and roll where we did just early rock and roll music was all. Played in a couple of gospel bands, gospel groups. Got hooked up with the Legends where we just did the superstar music. In fact, I dressed up like Hank Williams Sr. and sang a lot of his songs when I was with the Legends.
well, cool, very cool. And how does it feel to get on the stage and perform? Do the music that you like to play.
Well, the half hour prior to getting on stage, I was nervous. My stomach was in turmoil, and I was nervous. But once I stepped out on the stage and hit that first note and started singing, that disappeared, and there I was, playing the star again, as if as the song goes, here I am playing the star again. And it all disappeared, and it was just exhilarating from that point.
Yeah.
It's only one time when I was on the stage that I truly don't remember what happened, and that was in Nashville at the Ryman Auditorium. And I went out there on the circle, on the stage, and I hit the note, and it just, this feeling came over me. And I don't know what I did. I don't know what I sang. All I remember is hearing applause, and I don't know if they were applauding to get me off the stage or what, but there was one song that I did, and it was Jambalaya, a Hank Williams song.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I don't remember that I remember walking out there and hitting that. I think I did it in a C chord, and I hit the C chord, and just I mean, I was in automatic after that because I don't know what happened.
Yeah. No, that's pretty crazy. And do you have any shows or concerts that you remember really well? Like, do you have any favorites that you just kind of like to remember every once in a while to bring back good memories?
Oh, there's been a few. I played Las Vegas many, many, many moons ago. Uh, the Landmark Hotel, and I was back then. I drank liquor, and I got drunk, and they fired me. I don't blame them because I was horrible. So that I did one set, and they asked me to leave, and they paid me, but they asked me to leave, and and it was my fault. I was stupid. I was just stupid. I usually stayed away from the alcohol and the drugs, but that night, they said, free beer, yeah, sure, and I did what I shouldn't have done, but that's memorable for bad reasons. We were playing. We played a lot of weddings, and we were playing a wedding in St. Louis, and at the end of the night, the father of the bride had a heart attack and on the floor, and on the dance floor, and obviously that was memorable. I don't have any memories where somebody famous came up and started singing one of their songs with us, although we've had many other band members come up and sing. We went one night. We were off for some reason, or we got off early, but we went to one of the clubs that we played at real often, and they had a band in there. They were just absolutely horrible. And they saw us in there, and some of them recognized us, and they said, "Hey, get up and play a song." I don't know. No, get up there. Well, okay, we'll get up and play one. And so we didn't have our instruments, so we borrowed theirs. They had rust on the strings. No wonder they sounded horrible. Their equipment was outdated and horrible and needed new strings and out of tune, and you couldn't tune it. And so we played one song, and then we got down. We said, "Okay, you're done. That's it." And so that was memorable. Then at one time I was at a bluegrass jam session, and in a jam session, all the musicians sit in a circle.
Yeah.
And everybody takes a turn doing a song or starting a song, and then everybody in the circle does, a little bit of lead or whatever, or vocals or whatever. Well,
Yeah.
it come my turn, and at the time, I didn't know a lot of bluegrass music. I loved it, but I didn't play a lot of it. So it come to my turn, and I picked a Hank Williams song that Hank Sr. did, and Hank Jr. did, and Hank the Third did, and George Thorogood did. But anyway, it was Mind Your Own Business. And then, so I started playing Mind Your Own Business, and it went around the circle. And then after everybody had their turn, then they ended the song, and then they started squeezing the circle in, squeezing me out. And so that was fun. I mean, I didn't mind because I was there to learn music. I wasn't there to be a performer. I was there to learn more bluegrass music.
Yeah. I remember, I don't know, I guess it was a jam session or something, but I remember being a kid and you took me to, I don't know where it was. It was in Cahokia. It was a old building that had it was kind of a place where you go and look at history, but you guys all sat in a circle, and I
Oh yeah.
think it was one of the first times that I had ever really played any instrument. There was a guy, I can't remember his name, but he gave me a tambourine, and he was he would point at me and say, "Now, tap the tambourine now." And so I would be there, and I'd be tapping the tambourine during the song, and I think honestly that was, I don't know why that stuck with me so much, but that was a time that I really remember, starting to play, and I think that was before I even had drums. So I was probably like 5 or 6. Long
Yeah.
time ago, but I remember it, and I think ever since then, I always enjoyed tapping on things and trying to figure out the rhythm and the beat. And I was gonna say, when you were talking about everybody sits in the circle and goes through playing, I've said it must be really difficult for the drummer to try and to try and
Well,
play.
usually with bluegrass, you don't have drums.
Yeah,
You might have a tambourine or cymbals or something. Yeah, that was at the old historic Cahokia courthouse. Uh, that we did that. That was a jam session that I ran for. It started at the library, and I don't remember what happened at the library, but the room wasn't available to us anymore. So I had talked to the people that owned the courthouse, and they said, "Oh, that would fit in perfectly." And so we did that. And every now and then somebody'd come through, a tourist would come through, and we'd be sitting there playing music, and they would, enjoy that.
yeah,
And jam sessions were always fun because you never knew, at least at my jam sessions, because we didn't focus on a music, a genre. Uh, we just, if you were there and you wanted to do a song, we followed you. So we played every kind of music you can imagine. Were pretty much done there, and some of the musicians were good, and some of them weren't good. Some of them were old like me, and like I am now, and didn't sing as good as they used to, couldn't move the chords as good as they used to, and they but they had fun, and we didn't pass judgment on anybody. And the worst singer, the worst person and musician in the crowd, when it was his turn, he got another turn. We didn't exclude anybody.
yeah. That's good though. That's good to, because I think that's kind of what, to me, to what music is all about. It's, if it's something that you like and that you can express yourself and feel it, then it's just trying to do it is what's important. Now, like you said, there are people who are good at it, and there's people who are not as good at it. And you
Uh-huh.
just you kind of pick what you like and what you prefer listening to. And I guess we're getting close to the end, but what does music mean to you, and what kind of impact has it had on your life?
Music is therapy, and music is important to mental development. Um, I've played nursing homes and assisted living centers that dealt with Alzheimer's patients. This lady came up to me after one show, and she was in tears. And she said, "My mother has not spoken to me in 10 years or a number of years. But today she sang every song that you sang." And I was doing the old, you know, folk music at that time, Old Susanna and The Bear Went Over the Mountain and all these old folk songs. And these people, it sparked the memory, and they could remember it. Music is the only science, if you will, that uses all parts of the brain. It uses the analytical, it uses the mathematical, it uses the memory, it uses just all parts of the brain. And music will spark those memories to somebody that has Alzheimer's. Music will put Alzheimer's off. It'll hold it off longer. It's good therapy. If you're feeling sad, you can listen to music and you bring you out of the blues. If you're feeling happy, you can listen to music and get happier. Music is just, it sets the mood. It sets a mood for for love. It sets the mood for it sets the mood for war. I mean, that's why they have drummers, or had drummers back in the day, and fife players and stuff in the army. They played music while the armies marched into war, and so it just music sets the mood. It sets the tone for whatever you're going to do. And again, music is the only science that uses every part of the brain. The creative part, the mathematical part, uses the left side and the right side. It uses every side of the brain.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. And how would you say that the music has affected your life?
It's kept me sane. It got me my first wife, your grandma Carol. It got me through her death. Music has just been, it's just such a valuable part of my life. And I guess I really need to thank Grandma Bledsoe for, making me get up and sing to her when I was 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, making you get on the stage and sing for her, and then your audience just grew and grew. But yeah, no, that's wonderful. That's a good. I think that's a good note for us to end on, and I appreciate you for coming onto the podcast. I hope a lot of people will enjoy it. There's a lot of different expressions, a lot words and vocabulary, and I had told a couple students about you, and a lot of them know that you're learning Portuguese as well, and
Right.
they it's funny because they always say, well, I want to try and see if I can understand him, and they offer sometimes to say, hey, if he wants someone to talk to in Portuguese, well, I'll try and talk to him. And so, whenever you feel ready, they're there. They're there to
You
talk.
asked about one other memorable show was one with you. We put on a little show at church with you playing drums and me playing guitar.
I remember that.
That was another memorable one.
I think that was one of that was probably the first time I ever, no, well, yeah, it was the first time I ever played drums with somebody and in front of people. Because I'd played in a talent show in school, but talent show when you're 9 years old and you're playing drums is really just a, playing the drums on it, and people listen and they think it's cool.
Yeah.
And it was always fun.
And
I remember
I did throw you. I remember throwing you a curve. I did a. Music makes me feel certain ways, and the same song, I try to perform it the same way all the time, but sometimes the music dictates a different. We had practiced, I don't remember what song it was anymore, but we had practiced a song several times and had it down pat, and I threw you a curve because I changed the phrasing, which you kind of looked up. You're looking at me saying, that's not where we practiced.
It was, we played When the Saints Go Marching In. I think that was
Okay.
That was one. There was another, we did 2 songs because I remember we did one and everybody liked it. So they asked for a second one. And so we did that. And I think ever since then, I always tell Diana all the time, I really, really wish I had my drums in Brazil. But unfortunately, I live in an apartment building, and if my mom complained about me playing the drums, just imagine the neighbors and all that. And but that's why they make electric drums, and eventually I'll be back and I'll be playing again, because it's one of those things that over time you lose it a little bit, but once you pick it up, you can get back into it. We have a guitar, and I started picking that up and playing the chords that you taught me, and it was funny because I would play a little bit, and Diana was like, I didn't know you played guitar. And I said, I don't. I know the chords for a couple songs, and practicing them they'll get you to where you need to be. But yeah, but like I said, thank you very much for coming and talking to me. And
my pleasure.
We'll have it again. We'll have these talks. I even told Diana, I said, even even if a lot of people don't listen to it, it'll be on. It's on record, and I like it because, you know, who knows, one day little Jeremy, you know, little tiny baby, he'll get older and see a video from 15 years ago and be like, oh, that's what my dad looked like when he had hair, and that's what Grandpa Robb looked like. And, you know, I'm excited, so I appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for listening to our conversation. If you ever have any questions, you can always send us an email or send me an email, and I'll have Robb's his YouTube channel, because he also has a YouTube channel with songs. I'll have that marked in the comments, and you guys can go and listen to those as well. But we thank you. Have a good day or a good night or whatever time it is for you. Be safe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to Bled Talk. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us for more content. We are on all of the popular podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and we're even on YouTube. Don't forget to send in your questions and your suggestions. Thank you once again, and have a great day.